So we already rolling? Okay. You ready to kick this thing off, Kyle?
Yes, sir.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength, where we're giving you an inside look into all things wellness culture. I'm a trainer called Tony, and of course, with me, I have a gentleman of extraordinary league.
KR Jones is in the building.
That's right, folks, and we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far, you are now in store for a treat. Kyle, we are live on location.
Yes, sir.
All right, make some noise in here for everybody at Travel Agency, please. The Travel Agency Cannabis store has put this together, has brought us out, and we have some amazing guests in store. Before I get into our amazing guests, though, I just have to do my due diligence, and I got to shout out our amazing team back here. So please, you heard some good tunes starting off. The brother to my left, Dot Ichiro, is right on the back. Dot, make some noise for Dot one time. I got these two brothers over here who have helped me in podcasting from the very beginning. My man Miles taught me how to make my first edit on the microphone. So shout out to Miles one time. And I got Dave is holding us down. He's the anchor on this point. Dave is going to be responsible for any kind of photographs you need, any kind of videography you need. Dave Suave is the guy you got to talk to. Make some noise for Dave. No doubt. I got my man AB that just pulled up over on this side too. He's handling the mics down on this side. And yeah, man, the team is together. We have been working before, but now we're joining forces to come together to do a very special thing tonight. Ain't that right, Kyle?
You know it, man.
Why don't you take us into the right direction, man? We got a very special guest on the mic first. I got to tell you, Kyle, as a person who's been somebody in New York City, downtown New York in particular, this man is a part of the fabric from some of the bricks that are in the facades of the building that we went to. I seen that old Samo tag on the side, man. I was like, wait a second, hold on.
Yeah.
There's some history being made down here. You know what I mean? There's people inside this city that don't understand the intersection of art, the intersection of hip hop music, the intersection of fashion all come together. And the people that were in that room making that happen, man, is something that they've gone on to be legendary. And we got a legend with us right now, right, Kyle?
That we do, brother.
Okay, let's make some noise for the one, the only Fab Five Freddy inside here. One time, please. Fab Five Freddy.
Thank you.
I do mean everything when I say, sir, you have given me the architecture of what we try to follow and what we try to go through, from bringing all of what I would affectionately call my weird friends together at the same time. And we're going to have a party. It was always going to be a good little bit of music. There was always going to be something in the air that we was going to use. You know what I'm saying? And
A little fly, if you
know.
Yeah.
When you mix all these things together, it ends up being a good time, good space. So I can't wait to, share this space with you, my brother. It's a very proud moment for us to be able to talk to you.
I appreciate that, man. It's great to be here. I heard about you guys putting it down, and I'm like, let's get to it.
All right. My hip hop card is not revocable from here on out. I just want to put that out there.
It's only been revalidated.
The stamp is stamped. So yes, I want to get into the story about Be Noble. I want to understand what's going on. But before we even jump into that, how are you feeling today, my friend?
I feel great.
Okay.
Yes, I was in Brooklyn a little while ago, taking care of some business, and that's the borough of my birth.
Okay.
Left in just enough time to get here in the right time. So
Brooklyn is in the house for sure. I'm also a Brooklyn born and raised. It's on my birth certificate and my driver's license. It's not very many of us out here that do that.
that's official. Yeah,
I've been fighting my whole life to stay over on that side too. It's a little harder fight today.
Man. Yes, I'm well aware.
Yeah. So
I'm born, bred, collard green fed, do or die bed style.
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
We still own the crib. My sister and her family live in it, so we still got the connection. I'm on that block, Hancock Street.
Okay.
You know, Lewis and Garvey, where I'm from. And,
I understand.
seen all the changes, but the house is still there.
Man, it's a little bit more do or dine Bed-Stuy this week. You know what I'm saying? It's a little more artisanal croissants and stuff like that. But
I mean, things have changed, but there's definitely better restaurants available. There's a wider variety of good eats, which I'm happy to see. You know what I mean?
all right, I can't wait to jump into that, man. I got to hear where you checking out in the neighborhood because I'm right over on Putnam, man. So we
No, I haven't
neighbors on
spent
that
as
side.
much time as I'd like to. I live in Harlem now, but
Okay.
it's just still having that connection is special.
Yeah,
Really
for sure.
special for me.
For sure. My good brother over here as well is in that neighborhood. He's been from B-More through that space, but
Right.
B-More to BK. That's
I'm
where we make our connection.
one of them newer transplants, if you will.
I get it.
But I've been here for I got like 17 years in, and I know everything that you're speaking is facts, because I've definitely seen you catch that 8 train on Utica at least once. Like, man, that's Fab Five Freddy right there, man. That's a walking legend. So I'm just happy to be here to have this conversation, brother.
Likewise, man. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are avid health and wellness professionals, but also avid cyclists, right? Now, cycling in particular, in the story of what Be Noble means, is something that's pretty specific, right?
Okay.
So I understand how Bernard was getting pulled over on his bike when he had those 2 grams in his pocket.
Good point. Yeah.
Right. So as somebody who's had some pretty intricate experiences in New York City on my bike,
Oh boy.
evading certain situations, moving, sometimes getting hit, all of those different things. Cannabis is interwoven into my story. So as a biker who understands that life, it definitely hits a little bit closer to home.
Yeah.
Can you take me through, for our listeners out there that don't necessarily understand the full story of what Be Noble is, how y'all came about, and even like a little bit of what you touched on in the documentary? Can you talk to me about Bernard's story and how you became involved with that?
Wow. Well, it all starts with a film I made about 5 years ago called Grass is Greener, on the history of cannabis in America, its connection to America's music from jazz to hip hop, and the criminal justice nightmare. And the case that I thankfully chose to focus in on the criminal justice side was the case of this brother Bernard Noble. It worked out perfectly because in telling the story of jazz, which really developed in New Orleans, one of jazz's foundational pillars, Louis Armstrong, is also from New Orleans, and he was a very avid cannabis user daily his entire career. He's very well known, but of course undercover. So when I saw Bernard's story, being that he was arrested in New Orleans, had been in prison for 7 years for 2 joints worth of cannabis, I was like, okay, this all fits, because I get to shoot around New Orleans, French Quarter, tell that story. And then I got to spend time with Bernard's family, which at the time I shot that scene, he was still in prison. And it was, I think, 2 or 3 sisters and his mother. And in the telling of the story of the ordeal, they just hit an emotional nerve. And they broke down in tears. It was quite shocking. I mean, it wasn't planned and really sad. And so luckily, Bernard, the campaign, the celebration, the initiatives to get Bernard out of prison, it was a celebrated issue, is what I'm trying to say. He finally got a parole. People were getting at the governor and everything. That happened while we were still filming. We flew back to capture that moment, him walking out of prison. And shortly after, I got this idea to do something. I was so shocked and appalled that stuff like this is still going on, particularly in southern states. I just wanted to do something. And so Bernard Noble was his name. We decided to call the brand Be Noble, and we take care of Bernard. He's living well now. He's in Kansas City, by the way. And we donate a percentage of our revenue to organizations that are helping people that have been caught up in the system. And so then we were fortunate enough to make an arrangement with Curaleaf, a licensing deal to put our product on the shelves and addressing the issues of, once again, those that have been victimized by the horrendous laws on cannabis, a plant that has killed no one. And that has led me here today. This dispensary is one of the first to put us on the shelves here. They were one of the first legal dispensaries in town. So we're happy to be involved with the travel agency as well as many others now. And just telling the story and providing some fire flower for the folks.
Okay, I want to talk all about the fire flower for the folks. I think we got a little, I need to find a little bit more Be Noble on my side of the shelf. I think you might have got. There we go.
We got that espresso on deck.
You got the espresso right there. Yeah, I need to
Yes,
get me a little jungle girl. You know what I'm saying? I need to be on that front. But
yeah, the Jungle Girl is a new product that
Okay.
we've developed. We're doing that independently.
yeah,
And Jungle Girl just dropped in New York. We're in a bunch of dispensaries now, just a few months ago. That's inspired by a sister from Cali who's been a designer. She is a designer of swimwear, loungewear, all kind of stuff like that. And Natalie Galanka, born in Hawaii, been living in LA forever. And she wanted to get involved. And we said, let's get it together.
yeah.
And so we got a line of Jungle Girl pre-rolls and a lot more coming down the line.
It's fly, man. I definitely hear couple of different aspects of entrepreneurialism in your story that you're coming together with. Now, as somebody who we briefly touched on earlier was at the pinnacle of what all of this hip hop stuff was going to be, what's the business mindset, or what lessons did you learn about the hip hop business that may not have played out the way that it should have, that you are embedding into your explorations in the cannabis industry?
Good question. So I kind of like to think of this as the most entrepreneurial thing I've done. Essentially, I'm a serial creative.
Okay.
You know, I'm a visual artist. I'm a filmmaker. I create stuff. I'm actually finishing my memoir right now, where I lay the whole story out in which will be dropping early next year. So basically, culture has been the main thing for me. It wasn't like, let's just make money off the culture.
Right.
It's about winning and having a significant impact. Has been my motivation most of the time. And most of the people that I came up around, people you guys I'm sure have heard about to a certain extent. And that was what the drive was. And we were able to make a few things happen, I'm happy to say.
Yeah. A few things, I would say.
Multiple things.
Massive things, sir.
I'm curious about what was your introduction to cannabis?
Oh, well, yeah. So I get into all the grass is greener is a little bit of my life story. So my dad was a cannabis aficionado, and he was from he's not a musician. He wasn't a musician. He was a business guy, accountant, but he grew up with Max Roach, who was my godfather, and that was a pivotal jazz drummer. Along with Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, Dizzy Gillespie. He's one of the architects of bebop jazz. So my dad came up when that blew up, and I forgot the question.
That's your relationship with cannabis.
That's what smoking that cannabis.
See?
So that was in the house all the time. How could I forget? My dad was puffing, and all of his friends, they were puffing. As a kid, I knew I had to, that's a naughty thing. But, I grew into it because it was very close to home. As a young teen, my homies. And I also dipped into my dad's stash a little bit. I could slip in there and get a little something, And so once again, cannabis always a part of my life in the area, in the neighborhood, smoke in the air everywhere. And then growing up and becoming a part of hip hop culture, being there at the in the inception, it was there. It was the main situation that people wanted to, have a mind-altering experience.
Now I know what Blondie was talking about over there.
Yeah, smoking that good fire, that good weed was definitely a requisite. So it's always been a part of the cannabis culture as well.
How has your relationship with the plant evolved as you've evolved?
Well, learning more is the thing. I mean, when I was making Grass is Greener, let's say shooting the film in 2018, I was in markets where cannabis was legal, in Portland, of course, in and out of California, and just realizing like it's not just waiting for what to hope that your plug or your connect has anything, but being able to have an array of choices. Or if you don't want to smoke, you could, and you want for those that need cannabis for other purposes, THC, CBD, to be able to walk into a dispensary and be like, oh, I'd like to try this, I'd like to try that. It was frustrating for me in the making of the film when that wasn't yet available in New York. I experienced this. This is so the way it should be. And to come home and I'm still hoping that my man got something, you know what I'm saying, that's decent. And so to quickly see this all develop, which was mind-blowing, and to, the market, adult use, because the medical that was available in New York, I learned, was very restrictive. And at first, there was no actual flower available. It was like a nightmare as opposed to other markets. But it quickly accelerated. And thanks to a woman named Crystal People-Stokes, I like to always shout out, that authored the legislation. New York has some of the most New York has some of the most incredible legislation around cannabis use, and particularly the fact that people of color have gotten a chance to open dispensaries and be a part of the business. So as a result, this is one of the factoids that I touched on in Grass is Greener. We were less than 1% in anywhere in the business. It's not that great now, but in New York, a lot of people have gotten a shot to have dispensaries, and it's really remarkable to meet people that have done time, nonviolent cannabis criminalization, and now they are part owner or owners of dispensaries, and they tell me, man, Fab, I really can't believe it. I was on the corner scrambling my whole life, and here I go now with a chance to take care of my family legally. Is really special.
Yeah, it's definitely a great ladder that I see a lot of people being able to use to transition into different areas, right? And there's a lot of different groups that are working in helping the recidivism change, helping some of the prohibition era kind of issues die down. So I'm very happy that we have an opportunity to touch on that today, and I'm very happy that we're going to be getting into that a little bit deeper. Yeah. I do want to pull you back for 1 second, though, because some of what you're talking about in your creative efforts, like being a multi-hyphenate, that's what we call it, all these slashes that you got, my man. There's a lot of them up there, right?
Yeah.
Some of this work as a creative is something that, again, is ultimately inspirational on the outside looking in. Mm-hmm. And I want to know, where's the plant play a role in your creativity throughout some of your processes?
Well, cannabis is, once again, it's been a part of my life, most of my life. I've directed a lot of music videos.
Yeah.
As a part of what I do. So I was just telling a story recently, and this might have been triggered by whatever I smoked when I did early on directing videos was a strain that, who knew what the hell it was, but it made me really paranoid. And as a director, you've got to answer every question definitively and like that.
Okay.
And I'll never forget how insecure and how I felt. Once again, paranoid, like anxiety. I was like, I will never smoke again until the job is finished, until it's a wrap, and I could But now I realize that once again, with the ability to have a chance to get different strains with different effects, not that I want to, when I'm directing or when I'm in the midst of a serious project, that I want to blaze up. That's not my thing. But still, it's the awareness that you have a choice of varying aspects of cannabis, different levels of THC, different, and then you any strain. I remember the first times I was when working on the film, and I'm getting various strains from different people I was working with, and I would be back at the hotel, look at these strains and go, oh, it's incredible. And then I'd hit it, I would Google it, and Leafly, it would come up. And I would be like, oh my God, it looks exactly like what it is. And this is exactly how I feel. Plus, you learn what it will do for you on the medical side. Was really a revelation for me. And
game changer.
Game changing. And I was like, just once again, I'm happy that people in New York now have the ability to do that. And it's pretty cool.
I'm hearing function is starting to come into more of like the newer usage. So you get more product knowledge, you get different functions, you get different prescription.
Yeah.
The other part about that creative aspect is you seem to be a time traveler that might be like a good 5, 10 years, 15 years ahead of where most people are going for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've often felt that way.
So explain to me or take me through some of the stories that you might have had when you know that you're right about that impulse that you have, that creative bug, but the rest of the world ain't catch up to it yet. Like, how do you...
It's been consistently forever. So I just moved through. I can't worry about the rest of the world, but I'm pretty confident in the choices that I've made. I've been right, if you will, or my perception or whatever, however you want to describe it, has been pretty on point. That's just, maybe a superpower, whatever it is. I'm built like that. But my dad and where I come from, as I think back now and also working on my memoir, I'm aware that this stuff has been in me, and I've, understood more about where some of these nuggets have came from. Because it definitely wasn't taught, but I had a lot of really intelligent people around me, and it rubbed off.
Yeah.
And it motivated me to get busy in the same way.
No problem.
I mean, one of the things I talked about, particularly around jazz and like Max Roach being my godfather, these guys were super intelligent, hyper intelligent, but they were really frustrated of the restrictions on them because of their skin and at that time. And so to think about people like us having to live through those times when you you go through the South, you got to make certain moves. You just understand people can treat you a certain way. That was just something you had to accept. Or if you wanted to control what you were doing, that was just almost non-existent. These guys wanted to be able to run their labels and have more control over their form. And so it's that inspired and informed a lot of the moves that I made, and especially like in the beginning, which, Wild Style grows out of that.
Absolutely. Come on.
Things that I've put together, yeah.
Man, I need a couple of the Wild Style hits on that B Noble package, man. I see it. I need a train on one of those. Let me get a midnight train or something. Let me see how that looks,
Listen,
man.
Yeah.
speaking of just the art, right? You're such a pioneer in so many things culturally relevant, present day. Can you predict, if you will, because you know that time traveler, right? A world where art and cannabis collide and change a system. What would that look like?
Wow. Well, I think we're in the early stages of it actually right now, as more and more people, like there's, it's 80 plus years of lies told about this plant. And it had a lot of people confused and afraid. And I think so we're growing out of that now, and people are getting more and more comfortable with expressing themselves and utilizing the plant and understanding the medicinal values as well as just the vibe. I mean, one of the great lines in my film, which many people quoted, Snoop, who I interviewed, is like, man, if you put a handful of people in the room and some alcohol, you leave them, they're liable to start a fight. Or you leave some cannabis in the room, you come back, cats will be taking selfies and stuff like that. So it's a vibe that has always been a part of the culture around cannabis. And I'm excited to see, particularly in New York, what's going to happen when the consumption lounges eventually open up. And how they make that work.
The legal
have
consumption.
Conversations just like this while we passing that fire and that smoke is in the air.
Listen, if you're making an invite, I'm gonna be there. Just understand. I'm showing up.
Yeah.
I'm showing up with a couple people. I could imagine that you have a few, let's say, thoughts and ideas about what those spaces are supposed to look like. Like as you start to bring all of your creativity and all the different areas that you touch together.
Right.
What's like some aspiration or hope that you would want to see come together in this market?
Well, I just think, once again, more access, people better informed, I think is kind of what's happening. I mean, the underground kind of look over your shoulder danger that was associated with cannabis forever. Some people like, man, well, I'm gonna, they kind of miss some of that.
Yeah.
But that affected a lot of people's lives in a negative way. I just think we're in a phase of cannabis becoming somewhat normalized, if you will.
Right.
I think it's good. I mean, it's a great addition to anything that brings people together, as opposed to just having alcohol and spirits.
Yeah.
I think it's just a part of the mix, and I think it's going to be a more familiar part of the mix, and I think that's just great. I don't have any specific, being in New York, I've become a bit jaded now because we have such a very open and progressive cannabis legislation and regulations, which is what I was trying to say before I screwed it up. And that's great to see this happen.
Yeah.
And to not, I knew it was coming. So one of the stories is this kind of precluded me being in the business. I was initially promised Branson. So for those that don't know or haven't seen Grass is Greener, you should see it. Branson is a New York legend that had fire cannabis in the 90s that many top rappers knew about, went to cop. It's an A to Z list of the 90s most important hip hop people. Mm-hmm. And Branson is a classic hustler, underground, not on YouTube, not on Vlad, like blabbing about everything he did. Super low key for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
But he's my man. And I said, look, dude, like you created a brand without really knowing what branding is about.
Right.
I'm gonna tell the story. I'm gonna put this shit together. It's gonna be on point like a needle, but I need your story. He was really reluctant. I said, dog, I'm gonna meet people in the business. I'm gonna plug you. This is a no-brainer. This is a layup. He was like, all right, Fab. So Branson's in the film. I'm running around meeting with this one, that, when I'm talking with Burner from Cookies and this cat doing this, and I'm learning because this is new to me. So eventually I connected Branson with somebody that connected him with Burner from Cookies. And then I'm like, shit, I'm just figuring this shit out. And then the idea hit me to create a brand around Bernard Noble. And that is the birth of Be Noble, which, once again, unexpected, but it's turned into a very important situation. You know, we're in 9 states, and we donated to, we have a nice array of different organizations that we give a little slice of our paper to.
Yeah.
And that's how we promote what we do with Be Noble, as opposed to our weed is better than yours.
Right.
It's like, here's how much money, close to $500,000, that we've been blessed to be able to donate to these different orgs and stuff like that. And
Paying it back and paying it forward.
Perfectly stated,
I
man.
like it. I like what you're doing. You know,
We trying to do. And, you know,
nah, not
it's
trying.
black.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
That's what you're doing, brother.
Yeah.
I keeps it humble. It's built in.
See, but
yeah,
it's,
we actually killing this shit now. I like
it's hard to keep it humble when you're in so many different categories. As again, not a footnote. You are the pillar, the cornerstone in so many of these different spaces. Now you brought something in to the conversation that I got to go back to, where you're saying, look at where this is now. Look at where it's going to go.
Right.
Kind of like back in the 80s. Hey, look at what this hip hop thing was then. Look at where it ended up going. Right.
Yeah.
You're standing at intersections of things that are going to be setting the tone and the pace for generations to come again.
Wow.
How's that feel to do that a second time in life?
Yeah. It's a blessing, literally.
If people would have closed. You said you was writing a book. People would have closed the chapter on the first half. It's like, yo, this was great. This is you. You got enough done. You did everything. Your name is stamped. Okay, now you're doing this again in a separate space, but being a silo breaker, going in from one place to the next, and being able to pull them all together, it's a fantastic thing to see. Like, do you ever take the time to look at that?
Remarkable.
Yeah.
But along the road, I must say, I've set out on specific journeys.
Yeah.
And have had remarkable and surprising occurrences along the way.
Okay.
And it's all about, you know, do you move on it? How do you move on it? You know, and it's been it's like I said, it's been a blessing. But I kind of did set out realizing that eventually New York was going to open up. This is what I was telling Branson. I said, dog, I know this is going to happen. I didn't realize the quick succession it was going to happen, and that this market in New York has the potential to be the largest market in the country. It'll eclipse California eventually, just based on the population and the amount of tourists here. And New Yorkers have always loved that fire weed.
You understand?
So it's just been just pretty cool to be in the right place at the right time. I have a great partner, Ron Samuels, brother from Cali, that was a hardcore legacy cat, moving them packs coast to coast, doing that thing for real. You feel me? I've been smoking it most of my life, but I wasn't moving things around like that. So my boy is super knowledgeable. You know what I'm saying? We have Amy over here on the team. We got an incredible team, small, lethal, you know what I'm saying? Like ninjas out here doing this. So it's no joke, and it's great to see it come together. You know, we like playing with AI right now, about to put some incredible content out there right now.
Okay.
Cutting edge of that. You feel me? I got a lot of tech friends that's hipping me to shit, giving us the 411, you know. So cheat codes is working right now.
Man, you got a lot of keys to get into different doors, my friend.
Working with it right now. Just getting them keys as we speak. I just came for picking some up in Brooklyn a minute ago.
Look at that. See, I need to be talking like this, man. I need to get in that knowledge, that tutelage. I need.
Indeed.
Soon enough. Oh man,
It's been a blessing.
it's been a pleasure, man, having this conversation with you. I'm thinking about just Be Noble. I'm thinking about his story and thinking about what you're doing with Jungle Girl. Success, you know, like, what does that look like at the very top?
Well, you know, I love telling stories. It really all connects back. And so what we're looking to do eventually, you know, and I've got ideas about continuing what we laid down with Grass is Greener.
Yeah.
The development of the company happened like really aggressively. Just as the pandemic shut the world down, we began negotiations with Curaleaf, thanks to Zoom and WhatsApp and all that shit. And I'd like to also state that my business partner, although he's from Cali, from the hood, you know, he is very comfortable being in the continent of Europe, which he's now on the continent of Africa, we made some acquisitions. So we were able to acquire a German pharmaceutical cannabis company for pennies on the dollar called Can Pharma. We own that now, which gives us licenses to do things in Europe. We were able to do something similar with a company in the UK called, ironically, Noble Healthcare.
Come on now.
We made
That's a layup right there.
And then we are in Kenya right now, putting pieces together. We'll be opening first medical dispensary there, Be Noble, in the fall. So we become a global company, and it's been a whole lot to manage and keep our fingers on, and just trying to focus on getting it right. The flower is still a very delicate thing. A lot of people, as you scale up, getting them strains right is still tantamount, and we're staying on top of all of it and learning while doing. So it's been kind of fun. And, figuring out great ways of storytelling. We got a lot more. There's a lot of stories like Branson. There's a lot of cats, a lot of things that we want to bring to the table, about that legacy history. You feel me? That and bring it to people in entertaining ways to inform, educate, and entertain.
Yeah, I love that as a credo. That's something that I've been trying to do every day that we turn these mics on, We try to do the same thing. We try to put a little bit of candy in the medicine, so to speak, right?
That's what's up.
So we take the more wellness side of the plant journey. I'm speaking for just the whole off the strength side.
Right.
I used it for recovery purposes after injuries and things of that nature. And I see a lot of people coming into this space with different use cases. Like, I got to be honest with you, I get hit up on a daily basis by people in my family that have never been okay with cannabis use.
Right.
I'm talking to you, Mom. Shout out to you. That is looking for stuff now, like on a daily basis. I need that nighttime gummy. Where you going? I need that ointment, that balm. Some of the other things that you see on the market that maybe opening up the pool to some other people to come in. You've been at the party. You always gonna know where the party's gonna be at. Some people are outside. They gotta wait in the line. They not as cool, Fab. You know what I mean? They gotta be on the, man, hopefully we'll get in. Hopefully we get the +1, something like that. There's some people that want to dip their toe into this space, right?
True.
What's a good way to discover how something is gonna be useful for you if you're just getting into this spot?
Well, that thing that all of us have access to, the internet. Google,
Yeah.
you can start asking questions and figuring stuff out. Once again, dispensaries, literally, like travel agency. The front line in this business, which is what we've been focusing on, are the bud tenders.
You better believe it. Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of restrictions on how you could market and promote this plant that has killed no one. Still a lot of heavy restrictions on it. So when the bud tenders are the front line, so when people walk into these dispensaries and say, I don't want something that's too strong, but I need something more. What do you recommend? And so that's really key and critical in this business. And
it is.
Again, and informing these newbies that are coming online. So one of the other inspirations around Jungle Girl was numerous dispensaries that we've engaged with and talked to. The bud tenders were telling us there's a lot of women now purchasing, patronizing, and a lot of them are primarily buying pre-rolls, which made me realize it ain't easy to roll. It takes a minute to learn how to roll correctly.
Right?
Remember, right?
Come on now.
So nowadays, a lot of ladies are like, man, look, let me get it like that there. And
in and out.
I'm just going, and I'm straight.
Yeah.
Good to go.
So that was a big motivation for the Jungle Girl brand. And by the way, the Jungle Girl pre-rolls have like a cheetah tip.
Okay.
Apparently it's become very...
Come on now.
Oh my God, I gotta have more of them.
It's a scene. You know what the scene is like. Again, you pull up, you got your cheetah print when you pull it out your pocket. Hey, that's a different type of vibe. It's like, I know what party you going to, right?
Exactly. So,
Touching back on that bud tender side, man, it really is like somebody's coming in and asking you for a recommendation for the rest of their day. Like, hey, tell me how my day should finish. That's literally what you're walking in on. It's like, I want to feel like this.
Yeah.
I want to feel like that, but you tell me how to get
right.
there.
And so along those lines, and once again, looking at what the market's doing, it's 5,000 strain names, a lot of them kooky, goofy, that are hard to digest and remember. So we went with moods with the strains of Jungle Girl. I mean, the strain information is there, but we have the kind of vibe and
you understand.
A list of moods is how we label And that's been working well because, once again, it's female focused. One of our Jungle Girl kind of quotes is, ladies, it's made for you, but he can have some too. And that's
As long
up
as
to
they,
you.
hey, there we go. It's like pass on your own discretion.
You know what I'm
Make it
saying?
work.
Yeah. And that's b-noble.com if y'all want to click on and just hit that for a little more info.
Absolutely.
And Jungle Girl is Jungle, GLE, girl, GURL.com. And you see the whole line of, what we're doing with the Jungle Girl strains and the product, but also Natalie's clothes. She's, like I said, for 15 years, she's been making fly wear for the ladies and guys, short sets, beach wear. Anyway.
Man, I love it. I love it. It's so much to tap in with. It's so much to get into on just the whole culture that you bring everywhere you're going. So even down to I could already see with the Jungle Girl image, the vision, all the rest of that. There's a sound that goes with it. Yeah, same with the Be Noble, man. There's a whole mission and everything that comes behind that. When you sit down to tell a story, it looks like it's a 30,000 foot view, right? How do you make sure that you get the details together for some of the stuff that's important?
In the filmmaking, you gotta, it's like if it's a narrative story, you gotta have a script. But when it's a documentary, you just gotta map out what you want, and and you end up with a lot more. Key is a great editor with any of this stuff, but you just target what you need, and then you get these, once again, great surprises along the way, and you learn a whole lot. I mean, cannabis, like I said, once again, it's been in my life most of my life, and there was so much I learned. Particularly in New York. It was a woman named Cassandra Frederick, who was the head of she's now the head of Drug Policy Alliance, which is a critical organization that has fought for legalization in many different markets. I didn't know that people were being put out of housing projects, public housing over cannabis. I mean, the kind of things that were happening, the disproportionate arrests of young Black and brown kids. I didn't realize how crazy it had still been in New York. And like I said, a year or two later, after the movie dropped, cannabis got adult use happened in New York in a really progressive way. Once again, Crystal Peoples-Stokes authored the legislation that got signed, and so some pretty cool things. And the OCM, Office of Cannabis Management, I support them because it's been a rough road.
Yeah.
It's been bumps. It's a whole new operation after all the pressure, but I support the fact that they've fought to have, people get a shot and some equity in this game, which was a lot of other states talked about doing some of the things that have been put in place in New York. So it's remarkable to actually see it going down. Great to be a part of this. Great to be a Black-owned brand making moves in the game, baby.
What's that importance and that significance specifically?
It is what it is. Like, it's not like we have to wave the flag all the time.
Right.
It's pretty obvious, But we don't play, put this shit together in a very smart way. We had a great idea. And, it wasn't, and then Curaleaf stepped up, happened to be the biggest cannabis player in the game. And they were very supportive. A lot of people didn't realize that we owned our brand. They just assumed Curaleaf is so big, we were like a subsidiary, but we had to go out there and make sure people know, no, this is our thing. Curaleaf stepped up and wanted to get busy with us. So it's a licensing deal, but we call all of these shots. And so that's what it is.
I like the way that sounds. You talking mergers, acquisitions,
right?
All the shots.
Yeah,
listen, we not just fly on a couple of days. We fly all year round. I see what you're talking about, man. I see you.
It's crazy. So it's been a fun, exciting ride. A lot more than we expected, but timing is right, and we just trying to execute in a great way, and we put it together.
That you do, my friend. I do want to be respectful for the flight that we have booked for today, but I do have a couple questions that I'd like to close out on, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
All right. So first things first, again, you've got some legendary nights in this city, right? I'm going to imagine that some of those legendary nights may or may not have involved some cannabis. Do you have a favorite or fondest memory that you could think about in the Lower East Side in particular that involved a cipher with some people that you was around? And could you tell me a little bit about that?
Shit, wow. Oh, man. Well, I guess because I was connected to a lot of cool people on the downtown scene, this is going back into the 80s.
Yeah.
When Colombian, Mexican, Jamaican, you know, brickweed, mad seeds and stems. That was still the norm. When I plugged into people like on the downtown scene, particularly Chris Stein and Debbie Harry, well, Debbie didn't smoke, but her guy with the nucleus of the band, Blondie,
Yeah, for sure.
shouted me out on the record Rapture. If you did, he was one of the first people that was smoking that all the time. And I was just like, I couldn't believe it. So he had a Cali connect, Hawaiian connect. And so in that network of people, I got access to that way before most people did. It was mind-blowing, like how good the weed was. It was just something that we now have on a regular basis. Apparently the THC counts then was stupid low. Who knew anything about I mean, people was grinding up seeds and everything. You didn't know,
Twigs, all of that. It was
popping. Twigs, like grind that shit up. So I had a very early exposure to the fire, if you will, way before people knew what a Sensi or exotic was, you know, so it was pretty cool to have been a bit ahead of the curve. So, you know, smoking with people like that, like, you know, all the time was pretty cool. And I have to share, like, so my buddy Jean-Michel Basquiat, I don't know, there's these photos. So Andy Warhol, who we were friends with, he took pictures all the time the way everybody does now. And there's a couple of pictures he has of Jean with a big sack of weed, a big crazy spliff, and he's smoking. Jean would light up anywhere. It would be shocking. I'm talking, well, people smoked cigarettes everywhere back then, so that was normal. And Jean would just pull out big joints and smoke. And it was always amazing. Weed was fire. I mean, I didn't have it like that at that time. You know, Jean would break me off, so, you know, a couple of big nugs or whatever.
Man, you didn't have it like that at the time. You just talked about smoking with Andy Warhol.
No,
and Jean
smoking with Andy.
Or being in that cipher.
Yeah, we were in that space. We were in that space. But particularly Chris Stein from Blondie.
Okay.
Glenn O'Brien. Yeah. These guys were tapped into that level of weed, and it was just mind-blowing.
Man.
In the very beginnings of all of that. And then, interestingly, the first major article on me as an artist, along with Jean-Michel and Lee Quinones, was in High Times magazine.
Yeah.
And Glenn O'Brien was the editor at that time,
right,
who wrote this big feature piece. I mean, High Times was just like, I'd look at that and be like, I can't believe, like, where is this weed at? You know.
So they turned that building into a boxing gym. Not, I want to say it's closed since then, but you used to be able to walk in, and I wasn't joking around, you'll see a Samo tag on the wall inside that boxing gym. And they had the High Times magazines pasted up and down on the walls, where it's like, it was like walking into a capsule. It was right next to where CBGB's was, all the rest of that. It was a little boxing gym. See, I told you, I seen the names. I seen the places.
No, that's right. No, that's incredible. Wow.
I was touching relics the whole time. It was crazy.
I remember. Man. Wow, that's crazy. So man, I've had a lot of great, you know, and then, you know, smoking with Biggie, who I puffed with a few times.
Come on now.
It was just remarkable, the amount, I mean, blunt after blunt after blunt. I just couldn't smoke. I'm like, dude,
marathon.
It's smoke, you know? Yo, Steve, slow this down. Let's like constantly, which was amazing. Some people, obviously, their systems can intake, I'm sure you know, our endocannabinoid system.
There we go.
Can vary, but Biggie was a blunt chain smoker.
Man.
It's pretty astonishing. You're like, damn, Biggie. So I've had some good moments like that. And yeah.
That's
Snoop. Okay, one
Snoop's
more.
Gotta be,
one.
Snoop's got to be
I
up there
directed
too.
Snoop's first video, What's My Name?
Come on.
I'm the one that turned Snoop into a dog.
Nice.
And so that ended up me spending that whole summer in LA, because the first day of shooting in June, after the performance of Snoop on VIP Records, when we broke for lunch and went to another location, it was a near riot. All the gangbangers came out the hood. And I'm like, you drive around in LA, you don't see folks on the corners.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, it's beautiful out here. Dre was like, man, it's wild.
It's a different type of time.
I'm scouting at my location. So the day of the shoot, everybody comes out. A lot of these gangbangers. One set thinks Snoop is down with them. Another set. I said, yo, this is crazy. When we go to the next location, 4 or 5 fights break out, helicopters. This is about a year after the LA riot. So the police shut us down. And I ended up spending that whole summer to finish the video. Dre was like, I had to finish the album. You could chill, stay here at the crib. And so I got the rest of the video done piece by piece. which meant many sessions with Snoop and the Dog Pound.
Jeez.
And it turns out that Snoop, which I get into in Grass is Greener, he told Dre, you need to call your record The Chronic, because this is the hottest strain. This is the hottest name for weed at the time, was The Chronic. And Dre was like, okay. And
Look at
Chronic
where we at.
Came The Chronic, which I was like pretty incredible. But
Wow.
Dre's a good listener. He has a team around him, and he like gets feedback. So I learned a lot that summer.
Man.
So there we go. Those
That's a
good
mic
sessions.
drop right there.
Like, I don't even know. I don't even know where to go after that, man. This is like Snoop is like, yeah. I need to make it to my Mount Rushmore of smoking one time. Hopefully, I get some espresso. I can make it out there with some Beano, but we get a
Brother, it's a 2-pack.
we get a good siphs going on some part. I just want to say I was next to the man that was next to the man that was next to all of the beginnings.
Yeah, make it happen for you, baby. Got you covered. No
Yeah, I love it, man. Brother Jones,
What's the word?
before we let Fat Five Freddy get up out of here, would you like to play a quick game?
Yeah, man, we got some cards here. Now, Tony and I, we go into a lot of different spaces. This is an actual game. It's called Puff and Pass, I believe.
Puff and Process.
Puff and Process is the game. So I'm going to give you a little card here, and it just has a question on it, ultimately. So ultimately, pick a card, any card,
Okay.
and talk to the folks.
And give me that story that comes up with this card.
This is called what?
Puff and Process.
Puff. Literally, this is
Yeah.
okay. Puff and Process. Oh wow.
See, he's processing.
Oh, this is perfect.
Now, if we had the puff, you see it. You can see it. Work that in.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live and why? And that's perfect. I kind of mentioned that we've expanded into Kenya, Nairobi, where my business partner is. Every time I talk to him, he just tells me how incredible it is there. And he's like, man, I'm dying here. Like, Africa, Kenya.
This is where
like, dog,
Belly, the
what?
end of the movie. He's closing the chapter. That's where we're
So-
going. We're moving back to Africa.
That's why Kenya, Africa, essentially.
Okay. I love it, man.
Plus, I want to visit Burkina Faso and say what's up to the brother. You know who I'm talking about, doing his thing over there. I want to go up and dap him up.
Okay.
But no, definitely. I've been to the continent a few times.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely excited to go more, but I'm excited to what I've heard about Kenya.
That's what's up, man. I am excited to learn more. Thank you again for your time, for your energy, for sharing so much about all that you got going on. Could you let the good listeners know one more time where they could find any of what you have going on, please?
Yeah, b-noble.com has a ton of information. It'll also link you to the Jungle Girl site. I don't want to give you too many URLs, but we pretty much worked. Larry Love is our cat that handles all our communications, and we got a pretty comprehensive site that tells that Be Noble story. You can see the teaser, Grass is Greener, everything we've been up to pretty much is pretty comprehensive, and a lot more in store. Oh, I want to say that we have a new product that we're about to roll out, a Be Noble vape.
Come on now.
A brick vape, and the flavor is New York sour diesel.
That's a strength. That's a very particular
That's a staple.
staple right
There
there.
we go. That was a New York fire strain into the late 90s, early 2000s. So we'll be dropping in July. So
Okay.
Be Noble vape, a little brick, one of them little things about the size of a mini lighter.
Yeah.
Full of that New York sour diesel
Man.
coming in a hot minute, y'all. Thanks for having me, guys.
No doubt. Thank you
Great
so much for
questions,
coming
by the
up.
way.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Please make some noise one more time for the legendary Fat Five Freddy. Thank you.